Callum Byrne liked to say that every fire he finished left an after pigeon on the inside of his eyelids. Some firefighters tried to forget the shapes of the flames they faced. Cal chased them. When a blaze was declared out, when the last hose was rolled, the mop up crews vanished, and the eucalyptus trunks still smoked like church incense. He drove his dented ute to the nearest stretch of bare wall. In lonely towns all over Victoria, you could trace Cal's career on concrete. The Garrywood Range Inferno curled across a disused shearing shed. The Bayview Caravan Park flare-up smoldered in scarlet on the back of a pub. The Black Sunday grass fire marched around an abandoned silo. Cal painted quickly, still wearing the soot on his face and the copper taste of adrenaline in his mouth. The murals were never pretty in a postcard way. They were jagged, dazzling, faithful portraits of heat turpentine orange, lead gray smoke, ash falling like sleet. Locals called them proof that their firefighter understood what they had survived. Cal called them exorcisms. When he wasn't on shift with Forest Fire Management Victoria, Cal was on a ladder with a brush. The dual life made sense to him. Beat the fire, then trap it forever where it could do no more harm. One November evening, as Cal added cobalt sparks to the outline of a torched wattle tree on an old grain store in Hall's Gap, someone behind him said, "Your plume width is 800 meters." Cal steadied the ladder. A woman in hiking boots and an oversized Bureau of Meteorology wind cheater stood in the gravel lot, scrolling on a tablet. She looked at the half-finished mural, then back to her screen. "Sorry?" Cal asked. "The plume, from the Garrywood fire. My satellite data says the densest smoke climbed at a velocity that suggests an 800-meter lateral spread. And you've painted it exactly right." She angled the tablet. On it glowed a map swirled with purples and reds. "See?" Cal climbed down. Up close, she smelled of eucalyptus rub and coffee grounds. He offered a calloused hand. "Cal Byrne, Dr. Nia Dewan," she said. "Senior meteorologist, Fire Behavior Unit, but you can skip the title. What brings Bureau brass to a peeling shed wall?" "A hunch." Nia shrugged. "I model plume dynamics, convection columns, ember showers. For weeks, I've been running historic data through a new visualization algorithm. I expected bar charts. Instead, the software kept spitting out, well, paintings. Colors merging. Lines twisting. They reminded me of something. And then I remembered the news piece about the fire murals of the Grampians." She nodded toward his work. "Turns out my algorithm and your gut are seeing the same patterns." Cal squinted at the tablet. The digital storm of colors matched his brushstrokes with eerie fidelity, the same serpentine tongues of flame, the same mushrooming smoke cap. "I map what I remember," he said. "No algorithms, no rulers, just the after image." "And I map what the equation spit out." Nia laughed. "Looks like we're speaking the same visual language from opposite directions." She tucked a strand of windblown hair under her cap. "I have a proposal. Let me buy you a coffee. You show me your murals, I show you my models. Maybe we can make them shake hands." Cal eyed the darkening sky. "I'm on call at dawn, but I suppose the wall won't run away." Over flat whites at the only cafe still open, they swapped stories. Nia had grown up in Brisbane, child of cyclone country, fascinated by spirals on weather radar. A scholarship took her to Melbourne, then a doctorate in atmospheric physics. She designed visualization software because numbers alone bored her. "If I can't see the storm, I can't respect it," she said. Cal told her about volunteering for the Country Fire Authority at 16, about the Ash Wednesday stories his father carried like burned scars under his tongue, about the mural he painted on the family's shed after their paddocks burned. "Mom said it looked like hell's birthday cake," he recalled, smiling. Nia's eyes lit. "Do you still have photos of that first mural?" "Somewhere in a shoebox. Find them," she said. "I want to feed them into my algorithm." That night, Cal dreamed of fire that flickered into geometric shapes, then resolved into Nia's face, made of swirling isobars. 2 weeks later, they met again in Melbourne at the Bureau's laboratory. Nia projected twin images onto a screen. On the left, Cal's mural of last summer's Stony Creek blaze. On the right, her simulation rendered in neon gradients. She toggled the opacity until the images overlaid perfectly. Limb to limb, flame to flame. You see, she said, almost reverent. Your murals aren't just art. They're empirical. Cal folded his arms. They're memories. That's all. Memories encoded in spatial accuracy. Nia turned to a whiteboard, scribbling arrows. What if we combined my forward looking models with your intuitive eye? You feel texture, momentum. I have data. Together we might anticipate the shape of a fire before it starts. Kyle chuckled. Predict the unpredictable? Fires aren't obedient. No, Nia agreed, but their probabilities are. If we can visualize risk in a way communities absorb through art, not graphs, they might prepare better. You already proved a wall can shout louder than a press release. Cal thought of the pub where tourists photographed his mural daily. He thought of the kids tracing flame outlines with finger torches. Suppose we try, he said. They began with archives. Nia compiled decades of satellite burn scar records, wind patterns, fuel loads. Cal provided high-resolution photos of every mural. They trained Nia's algorithm to recognize Cal's stylistic cues, his way of thickening smoke where updrafts cut, his penchant for painting embers like constellations. The software learned to shape forecasts as paintings. One Friday, the program spit out its first future mural, a swirling inferno bending southeast toward the farming town of Warranilla, where drought had turned wheat stubble into gunpowder. Nia compared the visualization to meteorological indices, temperature spikes, humidity dips, wind shear, everything aligned. The model gave the blaze a 62% chance of igniting within the month, likely from a dry lightning strike. Cal studied the rendering. I can almost smell it, he murmured. Without waiting, he grabbed a stylus and added crimson where her algorithm had sunset orange. It'll pull harder in that gully, he explained. Nia updated the dataset. The probability ticked to 64%. Your adjustment improved the fit with topographic uplift, she said. They stared at each other. The room hummed with servers and possibility. What now? Cal asked. We paint the warning, Nia said. 2 days later, Cal stood before the whitewashed corrugated wall of Warranilla's water tower. Council permission had arrived after Nia lobbied with the phrase community risk visualization. Cal sketched the faint outlines of flame. He used the forecast mural as blueprint, but trusted his instincts where the wall's curves demanded improvisation. Nia photographed each stage, uploading geotagged frames to a public dashboard. A superintendent stopped by, arms crossed. Fine if it keeps the tourists happy, he said, half amused. By sunset, a tower-high inferno glowed over the wheat fields. Parents walking children to the playground stared. A farmer in dusty overalls muttered, Hope that's not a prophecy. That's exactly what it is, Nia told him, offering a brochure on ember-proofing gutters. Local news crews arrived. The story aired statewide. Firefighters, scientists use art to warn town. Some viewers scoffed. Paintbrushes won't stop a bushfire. Others shared it like a talisman. Within a week, hardware stores reported record sales of rake hose and water tanks. Cal returned to shifts, chainsawing fallen limbs, clearing tracks. Nia fed fresh weather data into the model daily. On December 3rd, the algorithm flashed crimson. Ignition likelihood 78% within 72 hours. Coordinates triangulated on the parched hills 15 kilometers west of Warranilla. Lightning struck at 3:05 p.m. on December 5th. A spotter plane confirmed flames at the model's core radius. By 3:45, the fire front mirrored the mural. But Warranilla was not the town Cal once knew. Volunteers had widened fire breaks. Roof gutters were cleared. Livestock relocated. Evacuation drills rehearsed. Cal's strike team arrived under a sky Cal felt he had already painted. Feet slammed like a door, yet the containment lines held. The fire chewed the stubble, licked at the brakes, and met nothing but plowed dirt. By dawn the next day, crews declared it contained. One machinery shed lost, no homes. Journalists swarmed the water tower, panning cameras from mural to smoldering hills. Art predicts reality, the headlines blared. At Bureau headquarters, Nia fielded calls from emergency agencies across Australia. Could the Burntuan system, people started calling it brush fire, be scaled for national early warnings? Careful, Cal warned her, nursing coffee outside the command tent. His yellow jacket was stiff with salt and soot. We got lucky. No, Nye replied, voice hoarse from coordinating radio comms. We got data, intuition, and a community that believed a picture. She squeezed his soot-blackened fingers. Ready for the next wall? They became itinerant prophets of flame. Nia's wrist maps generated sequences of potential fires. Cal transformed them into murals ahead of time. A shuttered cinema in Bendigo, a bridge abutment in Ballarat, the side of a coastal surf club, all blazed with ghost fires that might or might not come. Some didn't. Wind changes, surprise rainfall, prevention efforts diffused the threat. But each mural spurred action. Controlled burns scheduled, water points repaired, evacuation acts downloaded. Skepticism persisted. A radio host sneered, if art could stop disasters, we'd doodle hurricanes away. A columnist labeled Cal and Nia apocalypse influencers. Still, insurance premiums dipped in mural towns and volunteer recruitment soared. Late January brought a test, fiercer than any before. The Bureau's long-range ensemble pointed to heat domes stacking over Gippsland. Fuel moisture charts looked carnivorous. Nia's algorithm rendered a monstrous plume coiling out of the Snowy River National Park, racing toward the coastal township of Carowena, a fishing haven accessible by one sealed road and 2 timber bridges. Cal studied the model silently. The mural's composition felt wrong to his eye. The flames angled east, but something in his gut insisted on a northern hook. He told Nia. She reran terrain weighting. Nothing changed. It's math, Cal, she said, tapping charts. It's memory, Cal countered. In 2016, I fought a fire in those gullies. Wind tunnels formed at sundown, swung the front north. They argued until midnight, algorithms against scars. Finally, Nia added his anecdotal vector as a variable, increasing potential for a 20-degree wind shift at diurnal transition. The simulation morphed. The fire would indeed hook north, trapping Carowena between flame and ocean, unless a break was bulldozed along Granite Spur Ridge. They presented the composite to incident control. The operations manager frowned. Your forecast conflicts with the official spread model. Because we integrated microtopography and firefighter memory, Nia answered. No budget for speculative doomsday murals, the manager decided. Cal's jaw clenched. Then we'll paint on our own time. They drove overnight. Carowena seawall, salter eroded concrete looking out to the Bass Strait became their canvas. Cal sketched a serpent of fire curling north around the river mouth. Locals fishing under lanterns paused, sea spray dotting their beanies. The brigade reckoned the main threats from the west, one man said. Hope they're right, Cal replied. But if they're wrong, this shows the escape route. Boats, not bridges. By dawn, the mural stretched 70 meters, the longest they had done. It glowed like sunrise. They stenciled an arrow toward the beach, labeled Evacuation Flotilla. 2 days later, lightning again. The fire roared exactly where both models placed ignition. Official trackers still projected an eastern advance. But at 6:10 p.m., as Cal predicted, valley winds pivoted. The front kinked north. Radios erupted. Fire breaching ridge spotting toward Carowena. Bridges jammed with traffic. Embers rained. Yet dozens of residents had rehearsed Plan B after seeing the mural. They towed tinnies into the surf, ferried families beyond ember reach. Cal's own tanker, stuck behind fallen timber, watched their taillights bob on waves and cheered. The Carawina mural went viral, a prophecy that saved lives where spreadsheets stumbled. The incident controller later admitted that seeing people row to safety under a sky identical to the painting felt like walking into my own conscience. In March, with the worst of the season easing, the Victorian Premier convened a press conference outside Parliament. Behind her hung a projection of Cal's murals, stitched into a map. The Brushfire Initiative, she announced, will integrate artistic visualization into state preparedness. Dr. Nia Dawan and lead firefighter Byrne will head a new unit, bridging science, frontline experience, and community art. Flashbulbs popped. Cal shifted uncomfortably in his only suit. Nia squeezed his hand. Reporters asked about funding, AI ethics, property values. Someone asked Cal if he considered himself more artist than firefighter now. He thought of ash on his tongue, of paint under his nails, of Nia's algorithms blossoming like storm clouds. "I'm a witness," he said. "I witness the fire no matter which side of the hose I'm on." That night, on the rooftop of the bureau, they looked east, where the city lights faded into darkness. Nia set her laptop on a crate, calling up the next season outlook. "Climate models say hot or drier," she murmured. Cal unrolled a strip of blank canvas, tacked it to a maintenance shed wall. "Then we start practicing," he said. He dipped a brush into vermilion, hesitated. Nia watched, heart rattling like leaves before breeze. "Feel anything yet?" she whispered. "Only this," Cal replied, painting the first tentative arc neither past blaze nor forecast, but something gentler, a ribbon of dawn. He handed her a brush. "Your turn." Nia added strokes of cool cerulean weaving through his fire, lines of airflow diffusing heat. Side by side, they shaped a conversation between hazard and hope. The city slept beneath them, unaware that a new kind of weather map was being born in pigments and algorithms, each stroke a bet on tomorrow. When at last they stepped back, the canvas glimmered half wild, half serene. It was unfinished, deliberately so, a promise that vigilance could coexist with beauty, that science and memory, brush and bite, might together keep the future from burning too bright.